In the land of Veridonia, a young woman named Isabella found herself thrust into a harrowing ordeal. At the age of 23, in the year 2020, she became a target of a notorious duo known as the Shearers. This malicious gang, consisting of two menacing individuals, roamed the streets, inflicting a cruel and degrading punishment upon their victims. Their modus operandi involved infiltrating homes where only women or girls resided, seeking to assert their dominance and control. With malicious intent, the shearers would forcefully shave the heads of their captives, rendering them completely bald, all while capturing the fear and anguish on film. As the sun set on Veridonia, casting long shadows across the narrow streets, Isabella huddled in her humble home, trembling with a mix of apprehension and dread. The whispers of the shearers' deeds had reached her ears, filling her heart with a deep sense of unease. She clutched at her long, flowing locks, the symbol of her identity and femininity, fearing that they may soon be mercilessly stripped away. Suddenly, the silence was shattered by a harsh knock on Isabella's door. Her heart raced, pounding in her chest like the wings of a trapped bird. Slowly, she approached the door, her hands trembling as she turned the doorknob. As she swung the door open, her eyes widened in terror as a man loomed before her, his eyes filled with a sinister gleam. "Good evening, my dear," the man sneered, a cruel smile spreading across his face. "I've come to give you a makeover you won't soon forget." Isabella's voice trembled as she mustered the courage to speak. "No, please, I beg you, spare me from this torment." The man's laughter echoed through the room, a chilling sound that sent shivers down Isabella's spine. "Oh, my dear, there's no escaping your fate. Resistance is futile." Tears welled up in Isabella's eyes, cascading down her cheeks like a torrential rain. She fell to her knees, pleading with all her might. "Please, I implore you, don't take away my identity, my beauty." The man's face twisted with a sadistic delight as he grabbed Isabella's hair and forced her head back. "Silence, you foolish girl! Your cries won't change a thing!" Isabella's heart pounded with fear as the man's sadistic grin sent shivers down her spine. His grip on her hair tightened, forcing her head back, and she could feel the sharp pain coursing through her scalp. Tears streamed down her face as she pleaded for mercy, but her words fell on deaf ears. The man's friend, a looming figure with a menacing aura, stepped into the room. He carried a bag on his back, filled with ominous objects that sent a chill down Isabella's spine. As he unzipped the bag, the metallic glint of a razor and the sight of short clothes for sleeping sent a wave of terror crashing over her. The first man's sadistic delight grew as he motioned for his friend to bring out a camera. Isabella's heart sank as she realized she would not only endure the horrific act of having her head shaved bald, but that this vile violation would be captured on film, forever etched as a haunting reminder of her pain. She screamed, her voice raw with desperation, as the second man raised the camera and pressed record. The room was filled with a cacophony of Isabella's cries, the sound of the buzzing razor, and the cruel laughter of the two men, reveling in their power and control. Amidst the chaos, the first man's voice cut through the torment, commanding Isabella to go to the bedroom and change into the clothes he had brought. Trembling, she obeyed, her tear-stained face a mask of resignation and fear. As she entered the dimly lit bedroom, she noticed the bag that her captor had brought with him. With trembling hands, she unzipped it, revealing a collection of short, revealing clothes meant for sleeping. A wave of revulsion washed over Isabella as she realized the true purpose behind these garments. The air in the room grew heavy with an unspeakable dread as she recognized the depths to which these men would sink to humiliate and degrade her. Tears streamed down her face as she rejected the notion of complying with their vile demands. No, I won't wear those clothes." Isabella's voice quivered with defiance, even as her heart raced with fear. "You won't strip me of my dignity any further." The second man's laughter reverberated through the room, a chilling sound that sent shivers down Isabella's spine. He approached her, his eyes filled with a malice that sent a cold chill down her spine. "Oh, my dear, you have no choice. Resistance will only make your suffering worse." Isabella's eyes widened in horror as the second man approached her, wielding a pair of scissors with a menacing gleam. She took a step back, her heart pounding in her chest, desperately hoping to find an escape from this nightmarish situation. But her trembling legs betrayed her, leaving her rooted to the spot as the man began to cut through her clothes with swift, deliberate movements. With each snip of the scissors, Isabella's sense of vulnerability deepened. Her once protective garments fell to the floor in tattered remnants, leaving her exposed and at the mercy of these sadistic captors. The second man, devoid of any empathy, callously threw a set of short, revealing clothes towards her, his stern gaze daring her to defy his orders. With a callous disregard for Isabella's emotions, I forcibly took the clothes from her trembling hands and commanded her to put them on. As tears streamed down her face, she complied, slipping into the revealing and short garments that had been forced upon her. Each article of clothing seemed to accentuate her vulnerability, amplifying the sense of humiliation that hung heavy in the air. Through her sobs, Isabella struggled to fasten the clothing, her trembling fingers fumbling with the buttons and zippers. The fabric clung to her body, exposing more skin than she had ever been comfortable revealing. Her tears mingled with the sound of fabric rustling, creating a haunting symphony of despair. As Isabella's sobs echoed through the room, the first man's voice cut through the air with a harsh tone. "Enough with your tears. This is not the time for crying," he commanded, his eyes glinting with an unsettling mix of sadistic pleasure and cold determination. He then turned to her, his voice laced with a chilling calmness. "We are going to shave your hair and capture every moment of it on film. These pictures and videos will be sold, and if you dare refuse, the consequences will be severe. Understand the gravity of your situation, girl." Isabella's tear-stained face contorted with a mixture of fear, anger, and defiance. She mustered the strength to meet the man's gaze, her voice quivering but filled with a fierce determination. "I understand what you intend to do, but I will not surrender to your sick desires. You may take my hair, but you will never break my spirit." The second man's laughter pierced the air, a cruel sound that sent shivers down Isabella's spine. He approached her menacingly, brandishing a pair of sharp scissors, as if to reinforce their power and control over her. His eyes locked onto Isabella's, filled with malice and a perverse pleasure in her suffering. "Oh, how naive you are, my dear. Your spirit will crumble under the weight of our dominance. Resistance only fuels our enjoyment." Though fear coursed through her veins, Isabella stood tall, refusing to be reduced to a mere victim. Her voice trembled, but her defiance remained unwavering. "I may be at your mercy, but I will never surrender my dignity. You may strip me of my hair, but you will never strip me of my inner strength." With a perverse sense of satisfaction, the first man took charge of the situation, asserting his dominance over Isabella. He motioned for her to sit, his eyes fixed on her with a twisted delight. As he rummaged through the bag, his hands emerged clutching a pair of clippers, their metallic blades gleaming in the dim light of the room. He switched them on, the buzzing sound filling the air, and his voice carried a stern authority as he uttered, "Let's begin, my beauty." Isabella's heart pounded in her chest as she felt a mix of fear and anger welling up inside her. She refused to give him the satisfaction of seeing her crumble. Summoning every ounce of strength, she met his gaze with a defiant glare. "You may try to strip me of my hair, but you will never extinguish the fire within me. I will endure this with resilience and emerge stronger than ever." The man's face contorted into a cruel smile, relishing in the power he wielded over her. He approached Isabella, the clippers held tightly in his grip. Each step he took sent a chill down her spine, but she refused to let her fear consume her. She squared her shoulders, a flicker of determination shining in her eyes. As the clippers drew closer to Isabella's head, a surge of adrenaline coursed through her veins. The sound of the buzzing blades filled the room, drowning out her defiant voice. She closed her eyes, knowing that this act of violation was beyond her control, but determined to protect the core of her being that they could never touch.